The rain pounded against the windows of our old Victorian house in suburban Chicago, like whispers from a forgotten past, each drop echoing the hollow ache in my chest. It had been 3 years since that fateful night on the icy interstate. My husband, Tom, gone in a blink, his truck crumpled like paper under the weight of a semi. At 38, I was a widow, tethered to a life of quiet routines with my in-laws, Eleanor and Harold, in their sprawling home that smelled of mothballs and faded memories. They meant well, fussing over me like a fragile heirloom, but their kindness only deepened the shadows of my solitude. Days blurred into nights, filled with endless cups of tea and the soft hum of the television, until he arrived. My cousin, Daniel, 24 and brimming with the restless energy of youth, showed up unannounced one crisp autumn afternoon. He was family, distant enough to be a stranger, yet close enough to stir unspoken ties. A photographer by trade, he'd been chasing dreams across the Midwest, capturing the raw beauty of abandoned factories and sunlit prairies with his vintage camera. "Just crashing for a bit, Aunt Eleanor," he'd said with that disarming grin, his eyes a stormy blue, holding secrets I couldn't yet fathom. The house came alive with his presence, laughter echoing down the halls, the click of his shutter snapping life into focus. He talked of his adventures, his voice low and melodic, drawing me in like a moth to a flickering flame. One evening, as the sun dipped low, casting golden hues through the lace curtains, Daniel proposed a photo shoot right there in the attic room we'd converted into a makeshift studio. "You have this timeless elegance, Clara," he murmured, his gaze lingering a fraction too long, sending an unfamiliar warmth creeping up my spine. Alone in that private space, surrounded by dusty trunks and soft lighting, his touches, adjusting my pose, brushing a stray hair, felt electric, charged with something unspoken and dangerously alluring. My heart raced, a forbidden thrill awakening depths I'd buried deep. What unfolded in those stolen moments would unravel everything I knew, a web of passion and peril that threatened to consume us both. But as the camera clicked, capturing more than just images, I felt the pull of destiny, or doom, beckoning me forward. Oh, how I yearned for you to turn the page, to uncover the shadows that danced between us, the secrets that could shatter our world. What happens next? The mystery deepens, urging you onward into the unknown. I never imagined that a simple photo shoot could ignite such a storm within me. That attic room, with its slanted ceilings and creaky floorboards, had always been a forgotten corner of the house, a place where Eleanor stored holiday decorations and Harold's old fishing gear. But when Daniel transformed it, draping soft white sheets over the windows to diffuse the light, setting up his tripod with precise, almost reverent movements, it became a sanctuary, intimate and alive. I stood there in a simple sundress, the kind I'd worn for years without a second thought, feeling exposed under his lens. "Relax, Clara," he said softly, his voice like velvet wrapping around my nerves. "You're stunning just as you are." He circled me slowly, camera in hand, his eyes tracing paths that made my skin tingle. At first, it was innocent enough. Professional directives like tilt your head slightly or arch your back a bit more. But then his fingers grazed my shoulder, adjusting the strap of my dress, and a spark jumped between us, hot and undeniable. I caught my breath, glancing up to meet his gaze. Those blue eyes held a hunger, a depth that mirrored the loneliness I'd carried for so long. "You've been through so much," he whispered, stepping closer, the camera forgotten for a moment. "Let me capture the real you, the fire beneath the surface." As the session progressed, the air thickened with unspoken words. He posed me against the wall, his hands guiding my arms above my head, and in that instant, our bodies brushed in a way that sent shivers racing down my spine. It was as if the room itself conspired with us, the dim light casting shadows that danced like forbidden lovers. I laughed nervously at first, trying to shake off the intensity, but Daniel's touch lingered, his thumb tracing a gentle circle on my wrist. "See? That's the smile I want," he murmured, his breath warm against my ear. We were alone, the in-laws downstairs oblivious, lost in their evening news ritual. The isolation amplified everything: the creak of the floor, the click of the shutter, the rapid beat of my heart echoing his. By the time the sun had fully set, leaving only the glow of a single lamp, something shifted irrevocably. He set the camera down and approached, his expression a mix of tenderness and urgency. "Clara, I can't stop thinking about you," he confessed, his voice husky. Our hands intertwined, fingers lacing in a silent promise, and in that clasp, I felt the walls I'd built crumble. We talked then, really talked, about Tom's accident, how it had left me adrift, about Daniel's nomadic life, always searching for something elusive, his stories of starlit nights in the Rockies, capturing the wild essence of nature, wove into my tales of quiet grief, creating a tapestry of shared vulnerability. But it wasn't just words. As we sat on the worn rug, knees touching, a magnetic pull drew us nearer. His lips brushed my forehead in what started as comfort but lingered into something deeper, a gentle exploration that awakened long-dormant desires. I pulled back slightly, whispering, "This is wrong, Daniel. We're family." Yet even as I said it, my body betrayed me, leaning into his warmth. He cupped my face, his touch feather-light, igniting a fire that spread through me like wildfire in dry grass. "Family or not, this feels right," he replied, his eyes searching mine for permission. That night, under the attic's watchful beams, we crossed into uncharted territory, our connection blooming in hushed whispers and stolen caresses. It was a dance of shadows and light, where every glance held a secret, every touch a spark. We explored the boundaries of our hearts, finding solace in the forbidden. Hours slipped away, and as dawn's first rays peeked through the sheets, we parted with promises sealed in lingering looks. Downstairs, the house stirred, Eleanor's coffee brewing, Harold's newspaper rustling. But up here, our world had changed. The days that followed were a whirlwind of secrecy. Daniel would steal moments during family dinners, his foot brushing mine under the table, sending electric jolts that made me blush. We'd exchange notes hidden in books, cryptic messages like, "Meet me at midnight in the garden," where under the moonlit oaks, we'd share dreams and fears. His photography became our alibi. He'd announce another session, and we'd retreat to the attic, where the camera captured not just images, but the evolving intimacy between us. One evening, as rain lashed the windows again, he showed me the prints, photos where my eyes sparkled with a life I thought lost, his influence evident in every frame. Yet, the mystery deepened. Whispers of doubt crept in. What if Eleanor noticed the way Daniel's gaze followed me? Harold had mentioned Daniel's restless past, hinting at old flames left behind. And me, a widow, bound by grief and duty, how could I justify this passion? It felt like walking a tightrope over an abyss, exhilarating yet terrifying. Each encounter built the suspense, our romance a puzzle with pieces that didn't quite fit society's mold. The forbidden nature only heightened the thrill, making every stolen kiss feel like a victory over fate. As the weeks blurred, our bond grew, laced with romance that painted my world in vibrant colors. Picnics in hidden parks, where we'd feed each other strawberries under the guise of location scouting. Late-night drives along Lake Michigan, his hand on mine as we watched waves crash, sharing souls in the darkness. But shadows loomed. Mysterious calls on his phone, evasive answers that sparked curiosity and jealousy. Who was he really? And what secrets did I harbor, buried with Tom? The eagerness built, a suspenseful thread pulling me forward. What lay ahead in this tangled web of love and risk? The days after our attic encounters felt like living in a dream, painted with stolen glances and whispered promises. Daniel and I had woven a fragile tapestry of love, each thread vibrant yet delicate, threatening to unravel under the weight of our secrecy. The house, with its creaking floors and watchful walls, seemed to hold its breath alongside us. Eleanor and Harold, bless their hearts, remained blissfully unaware, their routines a shield against the storm brewing beneath their roof. But every moment with Daniel was a pulse of adrenaline, a reminder that our forbidden dance was both our salvation and our peril. One chilly November evening, as frost kissed the windows of our suburban Chicago home, Daniel suggested a night shoot at a nearby abandoned mill. "It's got this haunting beauty, Clara," he said, his eyes alight with that familiar spark. I hesitated. Leaving the house felt riskier than our attic hideaways, but the pull of his enthusiasm was irresistible. We told Eleanor we were scouting locations for his portfolio, a half-truth that eased my guilt. Bundled in scarves and coats, we drove through the quiet streets, the city lights fading into the ghostly silhouette of the mill. Its crumbling brick walls and shattered windows stood like sentinels of a forgotten era, mirroring the fragile state of my heart. Under the moon's pale glow, Daniel set up his camera, but the shoot quickly became secondary. He pulled me close, his hands warm against my chilled skin, and we swayed to a silent melody, the night wrapping us in its embrace. "You make me feel alive," he whispered, his lips grazing my temple, igniting that now familiar fire within me. Our moments were tender, a delicate exploration of hearts entwined, yet each touch carried the weight of our unspoken boundaries. We spoke of dreams, his to capture the world's hidden beauty, mine to reclaim the joy Tom's loss had stolen. But as we laughed and shared stories, a shadow flickered in his eyes, a fleeting distraction that stirred unease. Back home, the tension grew. Daniel's phone buzzed incessantly, late-night texts he dismissed as work stuff. But one night, as he slept on the couch after a long editing session, I glimpsed a message. "When are you coming back?" My heart sank, jealousy coiling like a snake. Who was she? A past lover? A secret he hadn't shared? I wanted to confront him, but fear of shattering our fragile bubble kept me silent. Instead, I poured my energy into our moments together, savoring the way his fingers traced patterns on my palm during stolen coffee breaks in the kitchen, or how he'd hum softly while developing photos, his voice a lullaby to my restless soul. One afternoon, while Eleanor was at her book club and Harold napped, Daniel pulled me into the attic again. The air was thick with the scent of old wood and anticipation. He showed me a new set of photos, images of me laughing, my hair catching the light, my eyes alive with something I hadn't seen in years. "You're my muse, Clara," he said, his voice low, his hands finding mine. Our connection deepened, a slow burn of whispered confessions and lingering touches that spoke of a love too potent to be contained. Yet, as we stood close, his phone vibrated again, shattering the moment. He ignored it, but the seed of doubt grew. That night, I found a note slipped under my bedroom door. "Meet me by the lake midnight. We need to talk." My pulse raced, part thrill, part dread. Was this a confession of love or something darker? At midnight, under the starlit sky, Daniel waited by the water's edge, his silhouette tense. He took my hands, his grip urgent. "Clara, there's something you need to know," he began, his voice trembling. He spoke of a past he'd left behind, a life of fleeting connections, a woman who wouldn't let go. "She's nothing compared to you," he swore, pulling me into his arms. Our embrace was a storm of passion, a silent vow to face whatever came next together. But as we returned home, a car lingered across the street, its driver obscured. My heart pounded. Was it her? Or was it my own guilt, projecting shadows onto our fragile love? The mystery tightened its grip, each moment a step deeper into the unknown, leaving me aching to uncover the truth. The winter winds howled through the bare branches outside our Chicago home, carrying with them a chill that seeped into my bones, mirroring the growing unease in my heart. Daniel and I had built our love on whispers and shadows, but the lingering car from that midnight meeting haunted me like a ghost. Who was watching? Was it paranoia, or had his past caught up to us? I confronted him the next morning over coffee, my voice barely above a whisper as Eleanor bustled in the kitchen nearby. That car, Daniel. Who is she really? His eyes darkened, but he took my hand under the table, his touch a silent anchor. It's complicated, Clara. But trust me, it's over. You're my future. Yet, the mystery refused to fade. Strange calls came at odd hours, and Daniel grew distant, excusing himself for errands that stretched into the evening. I found myself rifling through his camera bag one afternoon, guilt gnawing at me until my fingers brushed an old photo, a faded image of him with a woman, her smile sharp and possessive, scrawled on the back. "Come back to me." My world tilted. Jealousy burned hot, but so did the fear of losing him. That night, in the attic, our sanctuary turned confessional. He admitted everything. Her name was Mia, a fellow photographer he'd left behind in New York, entangled in a toxic web he'd escaped. "She won't let go," he confessed, his voice cracking. "But I choose you, Clara. Every time." Our romance deepened amid the turmoil, each moment a defiant spark against the encroaching darkness. We'd escaped to cozy diners on the outskirts of town, sharing milkshakes and dreams under neon lights, his laughter chasing away my doubts. One snowy evening, as flakes danced outside, he gifted me a locket with a tiny photo of us from our first shoot. Our smiles genuine, eyes locked in unspoken promise. "This is us," he said, fastening it around my neck, his fingers lingering on my skin, sending waves of warmth through me. We swayed in each other's arms, the world outside forgotten, our connection a gentle rhythm of hearts sinking in harmony. But fate, ever the cruel storyteller, intervened. A knock echoed through the house one blustery afternoon. Eleanor answered, her voice laced with surprise. There stood Mia, coat dusted with snow, her eyes scanning the room until they landed on Daniel. The air thickened with tension, a storm brewing in the living room. "You can't just vanish," she spat, her words sharp as knives. Harold shuffled in, confused, while Eleanor hovered protectively. I froze in the doorway, my heart pounding like thunder. Daniel stepped forward, his hand finding mine instinctively. "It's done, Mia. Leave us be." The confrontation unfolded like a slow, unraveling thread. Mia revealed letters she'd sent, pleas ignored, her obsession bordering on madness. She accused him of using people, discarding them like old film rolls. But as she ranted, Daniel's grip tightened on mine, his eyes pleading for understanding. In that moment, I saw the truth, not just his past flaws, but his growth, his genuine love for me. "Clara's given me a reason to stay," he declared, his voice steady. Mia's facade cracked. Tears streamed as she realized defeat. She left with a final glare, the door slamming like a period at the end of a painful chapter. Relief washed over us, but so did the weight of exposure. Eleanor and Harold, piecing together the fragments, confronted us that evening. Shock turned to tentative acceptance, Eleanor's tears for my happiness, Harold's gruff nod of approval, acknowledging the spark we'd ignited. "Life's too short for regrets," Eleanor whispered, hugging me tight. With the mystery resolved, our love emerged from the shadows, no longer forbidden but cherished. Daniel stayed, turning our home into a canvas of shared dreams. We traveled together, his camera capturing our adventures, sunrises over the Great Lakes, quiet walks in snow-draped parks. Our bond, forged in secrecy, blossomed openly, a romance that healed my wounds and anchored his wandering soul. In quiet moments, his whispers of forever sent shivers of joy through me, our touches a language of enduring passion. Though scars remained, Tom's memory a gentle echo, Mia's shadow a distant fade, our story ended not in tragedy but in hope, a testament to love's resilient flame. And as spring thawed the world outside, I knew we'd face whatever came next, hand in hand, hearts entwined eternally.